YouTube! I hope you're ready for tonight's fight between Mayweather and McGregor because it's going to be awesome! Now, let me just explain to you why my money's on McGregor over Mayweather, okay? Take a look at this mug. Yeah, I ain't going to say my name on this video, but I'm Irish. And let me tell you something about traditional Irish upbringing for boys. Most Irish boys are brought up in the tradition of Celtic-style boxing. Irish Celtic-style boxing. Irish boxing is a little bit different than Western boxing. Tonight, you're going to get to see some of it. McGregor's going to bust some of that shit out. I'm telling you, you're going to notice things that you don't notice in traditional Western boxing. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because tonight's fight got a lot of people excited. Of course, yes, there's been a lot of hype. I tend to fall into that myself. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to watch the fight until, at least not live. I'm sure I'll be able to see most of the fight after the fact. After it's off of pay-per-view, it'll probably be a couple of weeks before I get to see it in its entirety. But I can fairly well predict what is going to happen. At least what I think is going to happen. Now, since most Irish boys grow up in a tradition of learning to box at an early age, this gives them somewhat of an advantage. Now, I grew up learning to box at an early age too. No, I'm not proficient at it. But here's the difference. I grew up in a Celtic-style boxing tradition. Now, was that tradition pervasive? No, for me it wasn't. In a lot of Irish families, though, it is. It is focused on. Now, Mayweather may have grown up in a Western boxing tradition as a child and developed his skills from this, and, of course, from his pursuit of that passion. Now, don't get me wrong. All due respect to Mayweather. The guy is the boxing champion of the world. Hands down. No dispute. The guy has technical prowess that is not matched so far. We're going to see tonight if his technical prowess can actually prevent him from losing his legacy. Because that's what I'm saying. He's going to lose his legacy tonight. McGregor was right. He should have kept it at 49-0 and walked off into the sunset. Because tonight, McGregor is going to bust out a style of boxing you haven't seen before. It's Irish boxing. Now, here's why I mention this difference. Traditionally, African Americans, mostly stemming from the slave period, unfortunately. In African American history and tradition, they did develop a martial art called capoeira. Many of you are familiar with it. All due respect and props to capoeira. I could not do any of that shit. Frankly, I'm just not limber enough. Now, boxing may not require that level of flexibility, but you've still got to be in pretty damn good shape. And both of these gentlemen are. The difference is that Mayweather does not have an ancestral tradition of boxing like the Irish do. Mayweather has an ancestral tradition of a martial art designed to be disguised in the form of dance. To be disguised in the form of dance for the purpose of being able to gain fighting skills in a time when they were not allowed to be self-defensive, when African Americans were not allowed to learn any self-defense techniques. Now, this is a theme that you can find common among many other ancestral lineages throughout history. Okay, the Chinese are famous for having periods of history where people in general were not allowed by the threat of force to learn a certain technique or a martial art or to possess a certain weapon. The Irish went through that themselves. But there also was an isolationist period that the Irish experienced, during which time they developed and learned these certain skills. Now, you'll notice a difference in the traditional Western boxing from Irish boxing for certain little techniques. I'm just going to describe one of them to you right now. There's a lot of rotation in that first fighting range, which is called the chest-to-chest range, right? You're in close, there's no room between you and your opponent, and you're just duking it out. You're trying to move around, get your head out of the way, but the fists are flying, okay? There's a lot more wrist rotation, elbow rotation, boom. Things that develop a lot of power that aren't taught in traditional Western boxing to the same degree that they are in traditional Celtic boxing. Now, I know Celtic boxing or Irish boxing is such an obscure thing that most people don't know that it even exists. But it does. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, and you will see Conor McGregor bust some of that out tonight. And I can't wait. Unfortunately, it's going to be a couple of weeks before I get to see the fight in its entirety, but I'm psyched because tonight, history is going to be made, and I want to see it be made. So for everyone that's looking forward to the fight, be safe, have a good time, enjoy the fight, enjoy your cultural heritage, and if you're Irish, take pride in the fact that we Irishmen do grow up in a tradition of a specific Celtic-style boxing that you can learn to appreciate and value when you see it on display for the world tonight. Good night, everybody. Enjoy the fight.